Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today. I'm going to just kind of go through a couple of housekeeping items. First things first, we are in webinar mode today, and what that means is that we can't see you or hear you, but we do know that you're out there, and we're glad that you've taken the time to join us today. We are going to be talking about housing today. And as usual, if you're joining us and you've joined our webinars in the past, we would like you to put your questions in the chat box today. We're going to be getting to as many questions as possible throughout the presentation. I'll be monitoring that chat box for Jacky, and we'll talk about those questions. Again, Allison Scobber, Consolidated Planning Group. We are a holistic special needs financial planning firm. We do a lot of webinars on a pretty regular basis. So if this is your first time to one of our webinars, welcome. We are definitely glad you're here. And if you have attended in the past, we're certainly glad you're back. We do have a YouTube channel, Consolidated Planning Group, on YouTube, and our past webinars live on that YouTube channel. And our webinars are geared towards families with a loved one with a disability. And there's so many topics out there. There's over 200 webinars on our YouTube channel surrounding topics that might be appropriate for kind of where you are and the step that you're on. So you can kind of check those topics out. We've got that YouTube channel in the chat box. And we also have Jacky's contact information in the chat box as well. Today's webinar is being recorded, and after the presentation today, you guys will get an email with a copy of today's slides, so you don't have to take notes on every single thing. You will get a copy of the slides and any links or things that are in those in the slides, and you will also get a copy of the recording. So Consolidated Planning Group, again, a holistic special needs financial planning firm. We work with families just like yours in planning for the future. When we have a loved one who has a disability that has care needs beyond our, neurotypical kids that maybe they kind of go to college and get out on their own, special planning goes into that, and we're able to do future care cost estimates and create those protection plans, lifetime care plans. We help people open up ABLE accounts. We talk about transition planning and a lot of the other factors that should be on your radar. So having said that, it is certainly my pleasure to have Jacky Sylvie with us here today. And she is with the Community for Permanent Supported Housing. And so we're going to be talking about kind of housing options and some topics surrounding housing, which is a big topic. We have several webinars. We did a panel in the last couple of weeks, which was kind of like a speed dating webinar for various housing options throughout Texas. We had a panel one a couple weeks ago with panel two, and so today we're going to talk about some other ways to go about planning for housing in the future. So having said that, Jacky, tell us a little bit more about you and your organization, and please take it away. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, thank you, Allison. Yes, my name is Jacky Sylvie. I am the Director of Community Outreach for Community for Permanent Supported Housing, or CPSH. My background, I have been working in supported employment and now in supported housing for going on 20 years, which seems like a very long time when you say it out loud. We are a organization we're a nonprofit, and we're working to guide people with disabilities, their families, caregivers, service providers, educators, anybody who is involved with a loved one with a disability on their path towards independence with support services. So we will talk a lot about independence. Independence to us doesn't mean that you're out there on your own. It means making choices, having input into your decisions, and having the resources for your loved ones around you to help people live their best lives.
So, Jacky, how are you guys funded? And can people engage your services, through various state programs, or kind of talk to us about your funding and how you guys work?
Okay, So we are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and have been for 12 years. So we are completely funded through donations, and we have always been remote. So all of our funding goes directly back into the community and providing our resources for the community. So we have workshops, we have a lot of different kinds of information. We do them virtually, and most of our workshops are free or at a nominal fee. So, and we'll talk about those in a minute. So, yeah, so we assist families with their journey. We advocate, educate, and we collaborate. And, that's really important to us that we collaborate with other organizations to help people get the resources that they need. Texas is a challenging state, I will say, for resources. So however we can help people find the resources that they need, that's really what we're here for. And so we really work to transform lives and to help people find that affordable housing. So our location, we are in North Texas, but our resources really reach across Texas, and they can also reach across the United States. So our numbers right now here in North Texas, which is pretty much reflects elsewhere in Texas, but there's about 250,000 people living with IDD. That makes living independently a challenge in North Texas. And this number only continues to grow every year. And especially as people are aging out of the transition system and turning 18, this number just continues to grow. And currently, the government is only providing housing for less than 2% of people with IDD, and there's very little growth in this area, if any. So that's why we are working to create more options, especially in the area of affordable housing. It is projected that the number of Americans age 60 and over with IDD will nearly double. And that number has really grown. And thankfully, people are living longer and healthier lives. So we need to be able to address those numbers as well. We have about 25,000 people with disabilities are cared for by a grandparent in North Texas. And I'm sure we have quite a few grandparents here today that are also taking care of their loved ones. This number has grown by quite a bit as well. So we need to be able to help them find the resources that they need as well. As an organization, we have assisted over 5,000 families on their path towards independence, and that number continues to grow. We have also discovery call assistance, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. And we're averaging about 10 calls per week from all types of people, from families to caregivers, educators. And those numbers are really across the United States. I've fielded calls from Florida to California, but mainly Texas, and trying to connect people with resources.
So you mentioned intellectual disability earlier. Is it required for families to work with you that their loved one has an intellectual disability, or is it a disability in general? Like, for instance, what if there's a mental health disability?
Yes, it's a disability in general. So a lot of what we do is geared more towards IDD, but it's across the board. So probably I would say that veterans disabilities is not our strong suit. And so we would refer people with that, but yes, mental health is also included in that. So our website, txcpsh.org, it has a lot of resources for families and individuals. This is our services list, and we have quite a few. This is just an example of some of them, of information that we have out there for resources for families. So we have videos, we have workshops that have been recorded. So like I said, most of them are free, some of them are a nominal fee. We have a guide that was created by parents for parents. That is all the resources from birth through adulthood, links and information on when to get on lists and what types of lists are needed, and it's a host of different kinds of resources. But what I like about that guide is it's not written in government lingo. It is easy to understand. It's the information that you need. We really try to bypass that as much as possible so that people can get to the resources that they need.
Jacky, do you have resources for both people that are getting a waiver already and then people that would be private pay because they're not getting any Medicaid waivers at this time?
Yes. So we're just kind of the gamut of all different types of resources with a focus on housing. But yes, so all different types. Our goal is, we know everybody needs something different. So everybody needs to get the resources that they need for their particular situation. So we offer, like I said, we offer all types of workshops and trainings so that we can help people on their road to independence. Some of our workshops include housing vouchers. I will discuss that. That is a really big part of what we do is connecting communities with and people with housing vouchers that are specifically for people with disabilities. Those vouchers enable people to pay up to 30% of their income towards rent. So the vouchers are, and I'll talk a little bit more about these, they're not the easiest to find, they're not the easiest to be advertised, so that's part of what we do. We've been real focused in our area in North Texas, but we're working to be able to get those across Texas now, and those announcements so that we can connect everybody with these vouchers. Introduction to Independence is a workshop that we do that is really everything from 18 and over, but it's for any age, but starting with that 18 and over, all of the things that you need to get your loved one ready for independence, everything from Social Security, of really discussing the different types of Social Security, to waivers and lists and housing and resources and safety. And so I will have at the end, I have a flyer for an Introduction to Independence workshop that is coming up January 23rd, 2023, which is actually not that far away now. And that is a free workshop. We do it virtually. And we're very lucky it was sponsored by Superior Health Plan. So I have information on that. If anyone is interested, it's a really good, thorough workshop. And then you leave with all the information that we discussed that day. So all of our workshops now are done virtually, except for our safety trainings. That is something that is still a hands-on training that we do with individuals, and one of their support persons or their whole family can come. But we always want a caregiver or support person that comes with them so they can learn and know what their loved one is learning. But that safety training is a hands-on training from all types of safety, from severe weather safety to kitchen safety, money handling safety, community safety, transportation safety. So we do those as well. But this is a good example of, can you go one back, one more, of some of our workshops. We also do one-on-one consultations. So those are really good confidential one-on-one information where we really can help make a plan, whether it is around housing vouchers, transition support services. So that we also offer that. And then with Texas Workforce Solutions, we are contracted with them, and we do a training called My Independence Action Plan. That is for students 14 to 21. And it is a workshop to identify the skills that are needed in pre-employment skills, self-advocacy, and housing. So it's a really great way to get a conversation started on housing and seeing what your loved one knows about housing, what they want in housing, and then skills for employment and self-advocacy. And then they leave with a action plan of things that they need to work on. So if that is something that anyone is interested in, it is offered for free through the Texas Workforce Commission. You can contact me. I can get you the information. We do it again virtually, so it can be done anywhere. We do it at your convenience. We've done them over the summer, weekends, evenings, and it's a 2-part training. But it's a really, really good way for some of these transition students to start talking about housing and these other types of skills that are needed. Okay, and then this is our website with the list of our services as well. So yes, we talked about that. Oh, I see, could somebody over the age of 21 attend the Independence Action Training? At this point, no. We are working with Texas Workforce to get this training for 21 and over, but at this time it's only offered for 14 to 21. So sorry about that, but the independence, the introduction to independence would probably be a good one, and they can come to that workshop as well. So yes, we offer individual family assistance. Again, like we talked about, this is a confidential one-on-one consultations to answer your questions about affordable housing services, referrals, and what can assist you and your family on your journey. I had one just recently with a grandmother who is 83, taking care of her grandson, and she was wanting to wants him to move out, and needed a plan. But upon going and having this consultation, we found out he needed some more skills now in the home that could transfer. So that's what we worked on, is how are we going to address those and getting started on those skills. So that's kind of an idea of some of those consultations. There is a fee for the consultation. It is $65 an hour, and you leave with all kinds of resources and referrals after that as well. Okay. So talking about housing and independence, we really talk about how today affects the future of our loved ones, and really working on transferable skills. Those are really important to start as soon as possible for a number of reasons. One, it helps your loved one to be more successful, and it also helps in finding care for your loved one. Sadly, the way things are with care, the fewer services that your loved one needs, the easier it is to find qualified long-term care. So that's why we really talk about working on skills now that they can take to their next home, or that even help within the home now. And so one of the biggest examples of those skills are asking for help. So a lot of times we find that people don't know how to communicate, how to ask for help, and that is really important. So even if your loved one is nonverbal, there are ways that they can ask for help. And what's important about that is that if they're living in their own home, they need to be able to still ask whoever their supports are for help if there's a situation. If they're living in a group home, if they're living in a residential setting, whatever the next home is, they have to still be able to ask for help from their support. So that's something to work on, could be worked on now. Things like laundry, cooking, cleaning, all of those are skills that then they can take with them. So it's really important to start that as soon as possible. We can create a safe place in our homes now that our loved ones can learn, practice, make mistakes, and improve upon their daily living and safety skills. So creating places where that independence can be worked on. We've had one family who their loved one had never been on his own overnight ever, and he was ready to move out. So they actually camped out in their backyard while their loved one had the home to himself for a weekend. And so that was how they started practicing him being home by himself. And he is living on his own now and has been on his own for 4 years. He lives in an apartment by himself. His supports come to the apartment, but he's there overnight by himself. And so I thought that was an interesting way that they tackled him being home by himself. And so and one other thing was creating social schedules that can be transferred outside the home as well. So that's really important because people need to be able to have their social environments and their friends and their activities when they live in another home. So how can you transfer that? We have a lot of people who are involved in Special Olympics. And so they start that when they're at home, but then it can still be transferred when they live somewhere else. So that really helps. And housing options. So with housing options, which we're always working to create, more housing options, but these are the main ones that we have right now. Private facilities and developments. These are services that are not covered by state or federal funds. There is some things in the works to maybe have some state funds that might be able to work towards private facilities, but at this time, there are not any. Companion care homes, these are where the support is covered by HCS and SSI. Neighborhood homes is what we call them. Sometimes I've heard them called shared housing. These are single family homes, apartments, and condos that are covered by a combination of private and government funds. And then managed and state funded housing, or what we might know as group homes. And those are state funded. HCS provides the services for those. Those are our main ones. So the main two that we would talk about probably today are group homes and neighborhood homes, or shared housing. And that's one of the options that we have been working with for the last 12 years are the neighborhood homes. And these are homes that are owned by a property owner. It could be a family, it could be a parent, or it could be a property owner. And the property owner does not live in the home, but they happen to rent to people with disabilities. So the housemate compatibility is a priority when it comes to neighborhood homes. These are one person per room. So services can be provided in the home. So it's all different the way that the homes are set up. The person can choose where they want to live, and the progressive service agencies can provide services in the home if needed. This also gives property owners opportunities to participate in improving lives. I will give an example. Right before COVID, we had a family, they're called the Wheelers, who had a home, and they were building a new home. And so they wanted to do something with their current home. And as a family, they live by the motto of doing things with purpose. And so they had heard about our organization and decided that they wanted to rent their home to people with disabilities, to offer their home. And so we met with them. Their home was in a great neighborhood, walking distance to everything. Really lovely area. And we worked with a service provider who then was able to provide a room for a service provider or for a caregiver. And up to three young ladies were able to move into the home. So the property owner works with the service agency to manage the home, but the property owner doesn't have to come do anything other than they would normally do with maintenance or just your normal owning of a property. So there's different setups for these neighborhood homes. We have some where a caregiver may come in once a day. Some of them maybe once a week. And sometimes there may be, everybody has a different service provider. So there's just different ways that this can be done. Also different ways that it can be paid for. So it may be private pay only. It may be a combination of private and SSI. If it's with a service agency, it can be HCS. So there's some different ways with that. With the group home, like I said, one of the challenges is that the roommate is assigned. So sometimes you may never know that roommate prior to moving in. And it's limited stock. And that's really the biggest challenge with the group homes that we have. There's just not enough right now. So that's kind of why we are looking at some other options.
Jacky, I want you to talk just for a moment on families that may have a loved one that has some behavior issues. There are a lot of families out there who have a loved one with behavior issues, and the door is closed on a lot of housing options. What you and I know is that it's not valuable to say that they don't have behavior issues when they do, because, the truth comes out and then the door closes. So do you work with families in situations like this, and are there options for these families as well? How do you navigate that?
Yes, and what we're finding is that the neighborhood homes are tending to be a better option for those types of families. So the challenge is to find the service agency that's their niche. That is where we find is the challenge. So families they could have, set up a house, and maybe that's and this house, that's what it's geared towards. And but they would need to have a service agency that has a niche for the behavioral challenges that they need. So we're seeing some more service agencies that are going in that direction. They're getting more of a division, I would say. So they have one side that is for behavioral challenges, and then another side for maybe your IDD community. So it's still a challenge, definitely, but I think that creating a home where people can be successful in that is one of the things that the parents often have more input in with the shared housing.
Thank you.
Sure. So we talked about this too, is owning the home your loved one lives in. This is what we have. We have some families that have been doing this as well. Some families who are downsizing, now they're at an age that maybe they go and get a condo or an apartment, and then they're leaving their home to their loved one and then able to rent it to a couple other people. Most of the neighborhood homes are 3 people, without a shared room. So I would say that, and that is a little different than a group home. They are owned by people who want to offer housing for people with disabilities. So it's the same as a rental. So we really, it's not that you have to go and retrofit your home. It's not that you have to go and change things, because when you list the amenities of the home, when you're marketing it, people can then go and look at that those amenities and see if it fits for them, and then they contact the property owner. So, and we have a place on our website where people can list homes, and we announce those through our Facebook. We announce those through our newsletter. And then we also offer, as an organization, open houses. So we will come to an open house and we will help facilitate questions. We encourage our community to come to open houses. The Wheeler house that I discussed earlier, we did an open house right before COVID, thank goodness. And we had over 50 people come out and look at the home. People from the neighborhood came over, which was wonderful. So people got to come in and look and see, and they could apply directly with the property owner and the agency, and they could ask the property owner questions and the agency. So that's another thing that we provide. But with the neighborhood homes, we really want to make sure people know too that it is a rental property, and it should cover all operating expenses, but it's not going to be a money-making venture. So we want to make sure that these, that, you put into the cost of the rent all of the things that need to be covered. So we do have that, a lot of times people will put in their amenities that rent is this much plus food, transportation, whatever else they offer. You can go with that.
We have a couple of great questions in the chat box. One is, if you have a house that you are interested in providing for a neighborhood home, who would they talk to find a service provider? Would they reach out to your organization? You would help them connect the dots, or how do they go about doing that?
You can do that. And then there's also, you can go through Texas Health and Human Services has a list of service providers. So it's really about interviewing those service providers to find out if this is something that they are open to. If they do companion care housing, that if your service agency offers companion care, then that's the service agency that can be in a neighborhood home. So it's about finding the right agencies.
And that lends itself to the next question. Are these shared houses required to register with the state, get permits, et cetera, legalities? How does that all work?
They do not, because this is a home, it's a rental. And that's one of the things that we like about this. So this is a rental, it is not a business. A group home is a business. So that is why they have to register with the state, permits and everything with that. With a rental, you have to adhere to the same rental requirements as you would with anyone, smoke detectors, all of that. But you do not have to register with the state. You do not have to have permits. And so your rental agreements are with the tenants, and that can be collected through if you have the service agency, that can be collected through the service agency. So we have, we have a link coming up, but we have a lot of videos and a lot of workshops on this. We have one from some parents who have actually had a picture of them before, but we have parents who had a rental house for many years. And then when their son was ready, their son and two other young men moved into that home. And they've been in there for going on 5 years now. And so it's a great video workshop on them and their questions and how they've done what they've done. And then we have another one on the steps to creating a neighborhood or shared home. So if that's something you're interested in, please feel free to contact me. I can get you connected with that kind of information and talk more about it. These are also typically people put them into an LLC. So that's also just another thing to keep in mind. Let me see.
Okay, so let's talk about, and I'm going to go back to the cost in a second. Okay. I didn't forget that question. So let's say, for instance, we have somebody that does not perform their own ADLs, okay, and they're getting a class waiver, and we know the class waiver doesn't pay for housing. But is there a such thing as these types of housing options for someone who does not perform their own ADLs?
And your ADL, what is your
Activities of daily living, feeding oneself,
okay.
getting it out of bed, toileting,
Yes.
transferring, bathing.
Okay, so there could be a home that with that. It can be all different. That's so if that is within the home, if that's what somebody needs and that's how that home is set up, then yes. So this could be for all types of disabilities, all different types of functionality. So if it was for somebody who needed that, then that may be a home where they need 24/7 care. So it might be that's what you would look for with the service agency. We had one home where the property owner connected with a service agency that had nurses. And so their home had a nurse who lived in the home. So they are also a renter providing services for the people in the home. And one of the tenants in that home had all of their care taken care of by that nurse. So that's how that worked. And then there was two tenants. And so they got some of their services as well, but they may not have needed as much ADL services.
Can you give us a range? A lot of times when we're talking about any kind of services for our kids on our webinars, there's always the question of cost. You know, that matters. Can you give us a range? And then also, there are homes out there, I think you said in the beginning, that would accept waivers like the HCS waiver, for instance. So give us a range without the waiver. And then, you know, if there is a such thing as things taking the HCS waiver.
Okay. So again, it all depends on where the home is located, as how much, you know, rent covers. And again, making sure that all of the cost of the home are covered so that the property owner breaks even at least. We would hope they get a modest income from it, but it's not a money-making venture. So the cost can be a real range. I know we've had one home that was private pay only, and it was $1,200 a month. And within that covered rent, that covered transportation, that covered the caregiver, food, utilities. I just had a home, somebody's looking for a roommate for a condo today, and there's the rent was $900, and that covered rent and caregiving, and then food was separate. So the person, they buy their own food, and then utilities was $200 on top of that. So it just depends on how that home is set up. So, and it could be that HCS can cover some of these homes, especially with a companion care home where you have an HCS provider in the home providing services. HCS can cover some part of that, and then Social Security can cover part of that. So it's
where is somebody going to find a list of neighborhood homes? I know that the Health and Human Services has the list of group homes and how many beds there are and how many are open. I've seen that before myself. But where do you find a list of the neighborhood group homes?
Well, we have
neighborhood homes.
We have neighborhood homes on our site that are right now for North Texas. If somebody else has advertised that they want to advertise on our site, we can put them up for all of Texas. There's not a list of neighborhood homes because it's a matter of those property owners contacting us, and we can get that information out there. We could compile a list. But at this time, there's just not, like, you wouldn't go to Texas Health and Human Services to find a list of neighborhood homes because these are done privately. So what we do is we can list, we have an openings on our site. So that's what this link is to neighborhood homes openings. And we put the amenities on there, pictures, and then if that meets your needs, then they contact the property owner directly. So that's again, so
Perfect.
yes. So and we are working to, our website right now is under construction. It's still open and still live, but we are working to get it cleaned up. So it will be in the next couple of days. We're going to have a little bit new look. So if you go there now, there are some that are older there, but we've got some new ones coming out. That's also something on our newsletter. If you sign up for our newsletter, we announce those. I'm about to put one out for this. We have somebody that's looking for a roommate, but people can also contact us and get theirs on there. These are the informational videos. I had discussed the one that we have for parents, how they opened up their home. Their home is actually now, they call it the B house because everybody's name starts with a B. One of the things I like about this house, it's in Richardson, they have become part of the community. And so they now have a little library that they constructed, and they manage the little library is in front of their home. They are part of the National Night Out in their community. There's a 4th of July neighborhood parade that they are involved in. So that's what the benefit is with the neighborhood homes and shared housing, is that you tend to get to be in a community where you're close to your neighbors and you can really be a part of that community. So that's a really good example of how they've done that. We also have a Creating Neighborhood Homes workshop. Again, this is an overview on how to rent to people, things to look for with a house. I mean, we give a lot of great tips and insights into that.
Jackie, I know that you said that you could serve people all over the state of Texas, but is there a CPSH office in other larger communities like Houston, San Antonio, Austin? Is there another agent office that does what you guys do in their local areas, or you can just assist people all across the state?
Oh, I wish we had more offices. Nope, it is just us. We are small but mighty, but we can assist across the state. So if this is something, if you are in Houston, if you are in San Antonio, if you're in Beaumont, I think we saw some people from Beaumont. If you're interested in doing this, you can contact us. We can help you get the information. This can be done anywhere. It can absolutely, shared housing can be done. Neighborhood homes can be done anywhere. Okay. So let me answer this question. Somebody asked, what about unshared housing options for higher functioning individuals? That's a great question. We also have, vouchers will be something that you can address. I can address with that. But we have quite a few people who are living in apartments or living in condos, who are not shared, who are not having roommates, who are living by themselves. They can still get resources or support services come to them. We have some people will have their parents help co-sign a apartment if that's something that's needed. So we have quite a few people who are doing that, and it is possible. So the biggest thing with that is, again, safety, making sure that person is ready as far as safety goes, making sure they know how to be able to ask for help. What a lot of people we have who've been really successful is they create a relationship with the property management. And that just is another level of safety. And so when they're comfortable with the management and the people in the front office, it's easier for them to ask for help. It's easier for them to convey their needs. So that's how most of the people that we have that are living on their own, how they have been really successul.
Jackie, I know from a time perspective, we've got about 15 minutes. Okay. I've got another question here, but I'm going to keep it moving. One person asked, do I understand correctly, basically on the that the homeowner would be able to define how the companion care would be provided? For instance, you must provide your own, or can the owner require that the renter does not have behavior issues? Are you able to have that kind of set up that way if you're the homeowner?
Yes, you can. And how it would be done is, again, how you list your amenities. For example, the roommate that somebody's looking for right now, that we just got the information. In the amenities, they say this is for a higher functioning home, it's a male home, it's a learning home, so independent skills are important, it's a cooking home, so people can list those types of requirements. And so the beauty with the neighborhood home is then if that meets somebody's needs, they apply. If it doesn't meet their needs, they're not going to apply to that home. So that's where you're connecting people that in the home that's the best fit for them.
So I know you have some links out here for vouchers, and
Yes.
and they can kind of follow those links and things like that. But if a family has not been successful at getting vouchers, would they reach out to your organization, or do you have any advice for families that have not been successful, feel like they're,
Yes.
hitting a bunch of closed doors?
Yes. Okay, so vouchers, it's a tricky game. The main thing with vouchers is that you need to be applying for vouchers that are specifically for people with disabilities. Almost all the housing authorities are always going to direct you to what we would know as Section 8 or Housing Choice. There are vouchers that are specifically for people with disabilities, such as the Mainstream Choice vouchers. And these are designed to help people with disabilities pay up to 30% of their income towards rent. It is a shorter waiting list. The person holds the voucher, so they find the property that accepts those vouchers. Average waiting time that we have for people with that are on this is about 6 months. You can be 18 and over to get on that list. And the main criteria is that you have a medical issued diagnosis. So a letter from your doctor, it does not have to state the disability, but that's one of the main criteria. The person paying up to 30% of their income, that can be SSI, SSDI, sometimes no income even. So the challenge with this is knowing when these vouchers are available. And so currently in our area, Dallas Housing Authority has them and McKinney Housing Authority has them. But to find out in your area, you would contact your housing authority and make sure you say, I'm trying to find out about vouchers for people with disabilities called Mainstream Choice vouchers. You can do a search on their website as well to see, but most housing authorities aren't very, they're not very educated about these kinds of vouchers, so that can be a little confusing. But it's also then you take it to the property and the property can accept them. There's sometimes utility benefits that also come with that. So that is a big one. You can be on more than one housing voucher list, and you don't have to be in the county where that voucher is offered because those travel. So that's something to keep in mind. And these Mainstream Choice vouchers are for people with disabilities, mental health or IDD, physical, whatever disabilities. There's also 811 program. That's another voucher. That voucher stays at the property. That is, different properties have units allocated for those. That's again, where people.
Is that where they call Section 8? Is that the same thing? Is that what it? No, not at all.
No. So the 811 program is really where new properties get a tax break for allocating units for this program. So it stays, so the voucher stays at the unit. They're all over Texas. The main thing is you have to, and to get on that, you can have no income, you can have various disabilities. And one of the big keywords I tell people when they're looking at these vouchers is that they will often say, are you at risk of homelessness? And if you are not, if your name is not on a lease, that is considered at risk of homelessness. So that is a difference, and that is something to keep in mind. The 811 program is not Section 8. It's called an 811 program. You must be referred by a referral agency. So if that is something you're interested in, you can find those through your local authority. Also managed healthcare. I have a list of them. So if somebody is interested in the 811 program, that's, again, you have to be put on a referral list through a referral agent.
But okay, so Jacky, to be clear though, like, you know, when we have as many people as we have on today, everybody's situation's a little bit different. Some people live in tiny little towns across Texas. Some people live in bigger areas. But the bottom line is the services that your organization provides connects them with what they should be on the list for, what options might be out there, and is specifically tailored to their loved one and their needs. And that's some of the services that you guys provide and help navigating what might be out there and what might be good for their unique situation. Is that right?
Yes. And if you'll go to the next slide, we have a discovery call. These are some other resources that we just let people know about. You'll get this in the slides. We really encourage people to get on SNAP benefits because it helps them start that independence, helps them start with grocery shopping. And it's something that can then transfer when you move out. And that is important because when a person is 18, they are the one applying for SNAP benefits. That is their household income, not the whole house's income. And it's confusing. And we have a lot of people that have to go and reapply many times because that saying it is based on household income. It's still the only based on the person who is applying. So
we've actually had people say no to that if they are actually living in the house with the parents, even though they're above 18, that takes over that household. And that might be misinformation that is provided by Health and Human Services, but we've actually had many families be told that if their child is 18 or over and living in their household, that they basically wouldn't qualify because it would be based off of the household income. They would take into consideration all of the members of the household.
It is very confusing, but what we have worked with when we've worked with SNAP, that's what that's what happens is everybody puts the whole combined household, and it should only be the person applying. So we're actually in the process of working with them, contacting them to make sure, but that's how we have been working with it. And we've had a lot of people that go back and reapply, and then when they do it just based on the 18 and over's income, then they get the.
So we've got some people in the chat that are saying that they told us that she's not her own household until age 21 for SNAP. And somebody else said it's under, if they're under age 22, they have to be on SNAP with the parents. So anyway, I know that there's a lot of back and forth with that, but there has definitely been some issues, and we've definitely seen people denied that were between the ages of 18 and 22 and taking into consideration the parents' record. One thing that I will say is do work with somebody to navigate that. The Health and Human Services are often understaffed and overworked and not as always well trained because they're understaffed. So they have a high turnover rate of the staff that they do have. And so oftentimes if you've called before, which calling in itself is irritating because you're going to sit on hold for about an hour, my advice to you is call right when they open. And most of the time your wait will be 5 minutes or less. But if you call like now or at lunchtime, in the middle of the afternoon, you're going to wait for an hour. But yeah, a lot of times there is some misinformation coming out of there, like even, money in a special needs trust is counted against them, which isn't true either. And there's a lot of misinformation.
And then if you'll go, so right here, this is what we call our discovery calls. There's a link here and you can go to that. There's a brief form to fill out and you can request whatever kind of information that you're looking for. And then I am the one who calls you back. Again, my name is Jacky, and I help connect you with those resources. And yes, I mean, we try to find the resources all across the state, or in other places, but trying to get you connected with what can help you and your loved one is really what we're here for. So please, utilize that. My information is on the next page as well. You will be receiving this information. So, oh, and this is also, like I had mentioned, we have a workshop coming up on the 23rd. This is virtual, and it's from 6 to 9 in the evening. It is completely free. It is a really good workshop to help families navigate those housing options and resources, and really get you start thinking about, that next step. So we know it's a challenge. And,
Jacky, what I love about your organization is that you are a not-for-profit, so that your services are either free or a nominal charge. So, we know of other organizations that are for hire, and you pay thousands of dollars for them to help, come up with a plan for you and help navigate this. So I, for one, am happy, to kind of put you in our consolidated planning group family, where we, know about your services and resources, while some, have, the ability to pay tens of thousands of dollars for advice and things like that, and some don't. But I love your organization. And the thing is, kind of meeting with and kind of having a little plan and tailored. If you learn something, like I've learned, I've taken away several nuggets from this presentation today of things that I didn't already know, about some of the options that are out there. That I think this is such an important topic. We always have, several hundred people, sign up for these housing webinars because there's so much need out there. And there's only so many hours in the day to navigate all of this, and the difference between a group home and what you're talking about, and all of these other options out there, ones that are state-run versus not state-run, and for a variety of reasons, people have different needs and wants for their own loved ones. It looks like, let's see. Okay, somebody got their kid on Snap.
Oh, good.
Okay, and so in your link over here for your January workshop, they can follow that link and they can register for your January workshop. And today's presentation has been recorded, and you are going to get a copy of today's slides too. So you guys are going to have all of Jacky's contact information, all of the links that she's had in her slides. And so you can reach out to her personally as it relates to your journey. We've got a link here that you guys will be able to click, and this is our upcoming webinars. We've got webinars scheduled every single week on a variety of topics regarding special needs and planning, anything from waivers to SSI, to special needs trust and guardianship. It just goes on and the different the webinars that are out there. So this will have a link to all of the webinars that are coming up that you can register for, as well as any topics that might be relevant to you and kind of the step that you're on your journey. We've got webinars basically on all of these topics out there, and we kind of just hit on that. And you can, again, check out our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel for free. There's no charge for that and no charge for information. It is our heart at Consolidated Planning Group to equip families with the tools and resources and knowledge that they need to be an advocate for their loved ones, because it is challenging and it is hard to navigate all of these things. We work on an awesome team, a collaborative team at CPG, and although I'm on a lot of the webinars, not all of them, but I always like for people to have faces with names of our organization and our team. And at Consolidated Planning Group, if you need help, like how do I fund future care, residential care? How do I plan for my loved one when I'm gone? What does that look like? You got questions on Social Security, SSI, Medicaid. We're nationally certified as Social Security advisors. We don't charge. We have a free initial consultation to talk to a family individually about some of their needs and additional questions that they may have. And we're certainly happy to schedule an initial consultation with you. We got a lot of thank yous out here for an awesome webinar and blessings. Let's see here. Someone said a resource through Aging and Disability Resource Centers through HHSC is Housing Navigator Program. Check it out for your community. Thank you for putting that out there. And lots of thank yous and awesome information. So Jacky, I too would like to thank you for taking the time to meet with us today and share this valuable information. And I hope families have just been given some nuggets of, hey, I didn't even know. The big takeaway I had was that I had no idea that you didn't have to register with the state. Because, a lot of families, when it comes to these ideas of these homes, they don't do it because they don't want to, they don't want to get in the box with the state and all the, red tape that comes along with that. It just feels overwhelming and is kind of it goes into the forget it box.
Yep.
And
yep.
so that was a big takeaway for me as well. So thanks everyone. I hope everybody has a great afternoon. And like I said, you guys will get an email with today's slides and the recording. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to Jacky or myself, and we'll look forward to connecting with you guys again soon. Thanks so much, Jacky.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye now.